Well, hi everyone, Ted Simpson here, and I've already gotten started here today. I'm just jumping right into it. I covered my 12 by 16 portrait styled canvas, painted black gesso, let it dry. Cover a thin even coat of the liquid clear, as thin as you can get it. But you know, if you add a little bit too much, well, you spread it a little easier, it takes a little less time to cover it, but you do have to wipe it off. So I'm just giving my canvas a quick wipe down here. I tell you what, this canvas, as soon as I put the liquid clear on, it was a little bit flippity floppity. And what I did, I popped it out of the easel and I sprayed the back. And you know, I can't remember who gave me this tip. Oh no. But I normally just spray around the canvas and it tightens up, but sometimes it tightens up so much you get these little creases start to happen. Well, this person told me just spray the corners and the canvas tightened up. Look at that. Tight as a drum. So, God, I am so sorry I can't remember who told me that. But that was some awesome advice. All right, let's do something here. Let's have some fun. Yep, okay, so got my liquid clear, and now we're going to put on a whole bunch of undercolor here. Maybe some cad yellow and Indian yellow, kind of mixed together. The Indian yellow is a little transparent, the cadmium yellow, not at all. But that's all right. This is just undercolor here. So we get some color on, we spread it out. Try to make it all approximately the same thickness. That's what I'm going to try to do anyway here. It's tough to do. And the more you mess with it, you'll start pulling it off and seeing more and more of the black canvas streaks. So try not to overload too much there. Okay, I'll tell you what. Since I put it out here, a little bit of the yellow ochre. I'm just going to put a little bit right around the edge. Looks like I'm making a cartoon head here, and then giving it this dark, mustardy, yellow ochre head hair. Something. And then, without even really cleaning the brush, I'm going to go into some crimson here. And it's okay if you overlap just a tinge there. Throw on some much more transparent alizarin crimson here. And without cleaning the brush, a little bit of the phthalo blue. Now it's going to mix with a little bit of that red that's in your brush, and it'll be a little purpley right where you put it on the crimson. But then you go into a little bit more blue. Now the ratio is much more to the blue side, and I'm just going to cover up the rest. So that's if you want to see a little bit of lavender. Sometimes it happens naturally. Sometimes you want to force it. Either way. Now, I should have thought things through a little bit more. That's all right. When I'm home, I can clean my brush as many times as I want here. I'm going the cheater route here and just wiping it on a towel instead of my beater rack. Ooh, probably should do that anyway, huh? Wiping it on the towel didn't get much off. And, wow, I gotta do that again. A little bit of the yellow here. Let's just scrub a little bit of yellow. Maybe some yellow ochre. A little bit of the crimson. A little bit of blue to maybe make some lavender. And then a little bit more blue just on its own, just in case. There we go. Now we got some reflections in our water, perhaps. All right. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. I really want that brush dry. So, let's go into some titanium white here. Picking up some paint on both sides of the brush. You know, plenty of color worked in pretty good. And blend it out and then blend it up. I'm not stopping. I'm not thinking. Just very horizontal X stroke, sort of that rocking stroke Bob sometimes talks about. Look at this, running out of paint, but it's still lightening all the way up. There we go. And so if I was to do this in a class, oh boy, we'd be doing a lot of wiping. I'd have to bring some buckets with me. Okay, now if that wasn't bright enough to your taste, we load it again. And we want a nice bright spot. I'll tell you what, I'm going to knock that excess yellow out before going up, get a little bit more white. Bright spot, there it is. Crisscross strokes. Brighter, brighter. The more times you do this, the brighter everything gets. There we go. For me, that's bright enough. Clean out my brush. Boy, I gotta empty my bucket quick here today. One painting bucket. Gotta keep that paint thinner relatively clean. Or else, well, sometimes you don't use a brush for a while, and you last cleaned it with a fairly dirty paint thinner. Some of that paint is still left in your brush, and it turned into bricks. So, clean off my brush. Feel free to tap it and spin it into a paper towel to get every last drop off. Now we got a clean, dry brush. Now is where we just start to soften this. I'm not applying any more color. Very light strokes. And the paper towel here to wipe off any excess paint I pick up. But the goal here is just to go over it now, soften it where it sits without really dragging that color around too much. And simple crisscross strokes will take out those brush marks. If the brush marks are kind of go in one direction, you hit it in the opposite direction, and then they'll just soften and melt away. All right, I'm gonna do another one here with a clean, dry 2-inch brush. I'm seeing some more marks here. Maybe this brush will take care of them. Oh, I think that soft blender brush might be a good brush choice here too. Look at that. Barely touching. Yeah, that 1-inch brush. I don't know. Just didn't have the right angle I needed. There we go. I love it. All right, well, let us make a color here. All that dark color. I'm going to take most of my crimson. Enough blue to make purple. Let's just make that purple real quick. This is an older tube here, just a little bit left of the tube, and there's some little dry bits in there. So sometimes you got to work around those. So I've made my purple color. So it's a little to the blue side of a nice mid-royal purple. So to that, I'm going to add a chunk of black, a chunk of brown, maybe even a chunk of the other brown. We call that dark sienna, otherwise known as the other brown. Oh, you can see another little chunker there. I decided to do this painting because it contained a lot of colors I have very little left in the tube of. So all these old tubes here, getting the last bit of use out of them for you fine folks. So, what color do we make? Awfully dark. That's basically the color. Maybe. I'll just show you here. They always say, what do you mean just by dark? I mean, it's just a really, really dark plum color. Okay, and if that was still too blue for you, add more brown. Oh, let's see. Now, if we throw some green in it, we've got all our shadows for our evergreens already ready. So, this painting, I thought was pretty cool. It's going to be for a fall scene here, but you know what? I'm gonna do something different. I'm not gonna have snow in there. We're gonna have something else. So, let us take our oval brush here, the old black-handled oval brush, and I'm only going through one side, picking up a little color, and then tapping it. See that nice texture there? You want that texture. If all you have is this, you're not really gonna load enough paint. We've got to load enough paint to go right on top of all this stuff and for it to be bold and not melt in. So, coming in here, you gotta strike it. Let those bristles bend a little bit. Just like that, I've got one. Reload the brush. If it's not dark down here at the bottom, make it a little darker. Maybe make it a little more interesting, maybe taller, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. Maybe there's a little one right there. And you can probably guess what the deal is here. I gotta cover up the bottom of my sky. So just by tapping and moving the brush a little bit, you get some effects. Look at this one. And look at that. All that area I didn't even bother with in the sky. Why didn't I bother? Because I'm gonna just cover it up. I like that. I like how it kind of hangs out there. And if it's hanging too much for you, well, you can change it. Look at that. Now it's a little more stand-uppy, but it still has some hangy branches. To be honest, I don't know how much of this tree we're really going to see anyway. We never know. We never know. Now, it is a little hard to see here, but I'm going to try to put on a couple extra layers here. They'll all kind of pop out when we do the highlights, but these are just layers of bushes in front of the background ones. I can kind of see on the glare here just a little bit difference of texture. Hopefully you'll be able to see it when I start picking out the highlights. This goes fast, doesn't it? This is a pretty quick painting. Maybe I could do 2 a week if I'm making paintings this fast. 2 videos a week. Alright, I'm cleaning out my brush here just to get the majority out of it. And I don't even know why I had to clean it. Didn't have to clean it at all, because I was going to use this nice clean newer one here for the highlights. So, what are we doing? We are doing kind of fall scenes here in a sunset. So, we're going to need some more reds. Just prepping my canvas here. Maybe a little bit of that crimson we're going to need too. So, rather than use liquid white, I don't want to make pink colors. I'm going to use an incredibly small amount. It's like just a single drop right there on the tips of the brushes of the liquid clear, and I use that to thin down the paint. A little liquid clear, and I'm going to pull a little bit of the bright red and yellow ochre. If it's a little too bright, maybe a touch of the crimson to dull it down. Ooh, that's very ruby red. Maybe a touch of the dark color to dull it down. The background color, look how that dulls it. Lots of options here. You want to get that paint right up on the tips of the bristles. Okay, let's highlight. Okay, let's just keep loading my brush. One little brush full at a time. And if you need to, if it's not coming off super easy, just a single droplet of the liquid clear at a time till it comes off with just a nice light touch like this. There we go. So, just by going over that, sometimes you pick up some of that dark color. And so I just wipe the brush. Wipe the brush on a paper towel. Now I can start loading and making another color here. I grabbed a couple of drops of liquid clear. Look how shiny that is. That's a lot of liquid clear. So I'm trying to pull some more color into it to make it not so drippy. Alright. So we've got some trees and bushes down here as well. Change up colors. Variation is always good. Now, just by creating some down here, I had those spots kind of picked out and already pre-laid in with the dark color. So I can create some little low-lying ones down here at the bottom. Very fall-like, isn't it? Maybe a nice bright one right here. And right underneath is kind of one in front. In front. Look how we create all these layers start to happen already. And as I move away, maybe there's some dark ones here. Not catching as much light. Something like that. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that brush for now. And let's create our foreground a little bit. Now, excuse my melon head here. I had forgot to put out a little bit of sap green because this was a winter painting. And I'm changing it to kind of a summery deal. So we're going to need just a little bit of the liquid clear or liquid white. And I'm going to start pulling some of my yellows into the brush here back and forth. Grab a little bit of green. Now, make sure you give it a little test. It's going to show up a bit different from your palette here. Get that paint right up on both sides and then push and get that little ridge of color. Got to find that angle to get that nice ridge of color. And let's make just a little simple path starting back here. And it comes out and underneath. Right under the sun is where I wanted it nice and bright, and it definitely is. But I'm going to change it up. I added a little more green, a little bit of my undercolor. Let's just see if we can't get it to go a little darker as we move away from the sun here. Normally I wouldn't make it so bright right off the bat. You can always lighten things up, add little highlights to the highlight here, but sometimes things happen. There we go. See what I mean? Add a little bright guy there. Cool. Now, let me see. I'm going to take my other 1-inch brush, pick up a little bit of that titanium white. I had to think about it, huh? And let's create start of some water here. Pushing. All right. So, wipe out most of the paint. And you can see here where it goes from the brightest right under my bright spot of the sun. And then as I move out, it gets a little darker. And you can darken it up by pulling from the outside in, or you can make it lighter by adding more white and keep going out. And just give it a quick side swipe to blur even more. Oh, we've got some water started. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to take just a little bit of my dark color. Let's just tap right here. Add a little peninsula right there. Where is my knife? Touch of white to my knife. Create a little water line right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to play around. We're going to go back and forth with our dark colors and our grassy highlight colors. And we can add in little things here. And then I'm going to highlight this new little peninsula that I created here. Trick is getting that right amount on your brush so that you can tap and blend, tap and blend, and soften, and create these little shapes here. Go. Now, if I were to come back here with just a little bit of that color on my brush again, I use less this time, makes it a little easier to cover with the highlights. There we go. So, just like that. Ooh, that one went in a little easier. I like that better. I do like that color in there, but add a little bit of that color in the back. for it to make sense to me. There we go. Just changing up the flavors. You want a little softer, keep tapping it. You want it a little sparklier for more detail. Tap it in. Okay, so let's see here. Where am I at? Now we're just working in stages here, you know? You get a little bit of the white and make your water lines as we move on here. Before I make too much of a water line there, I'll take out just a little bit of the white. Maybe make an extra reflection right here. Ooh, I like that. Maybe just a touch of reflection here. Just to keep it going, keep it looking consistent. Oh, sometimes you got to clean that knife a couple times here. Put in a little bit of our reflection. Trying to keep that water line looking level here. Trying to move as horizontally as much as possible. Once you start trying to, curve things, it loses the effect. There, I want a little bead right there. Ooh, that's a little stronger. There we go. Too strong? I don't know. I can calm it down though. I heard your reaction. Okay, so the rest of this here, we're gonna have some land down here anyway, so just to give you an idea, a little precursor here. Just a little bit of dark color right there. Maybe even higher, I don't know. Right about there? There, I like that better. Almost see the snow. Alright, so what do we got here? All these brushes nearby and not a single filbert. Nope. Oh, where's my filberts? Oh, they're put away. I guess it's the fan brush this time. So, brown. The other brown. Little black. Plenty of color. Woo-wee. And let's have a stand of trees. One is right there. One is kind of right next to it. And maybe even a third coming down, kind of overlaps it a little bit. And the big one comes right on down, it's going to be in front. Okay. That was a lot of paint just for four trunks there. That's okay. Just got to spend a little time cleaning the excess paint off there. All right, let's use the knife for this. I was looking forward to this. Some white, some dark sienna, and watch this. We'll take a little bit of that, add some yellow to it, just loosely mixed. Some yellow, maybe some red, maybe some bright red. I don't know. It's going to do something. Look at that. So, mixing up some flavors here. Cad yellow, Indian yellow, some bright red and crimson. Just loosely mixed. You got to stop before they all turn just some kind of dead orange. And then my dark sienna and white mix. Get out a little roll here. So we're going to try to treat this a little bit like birch trees, just touching and just gently pulling inward. Not doing the whole tree, just try to do just that half of the tree that's kind of shining up in there. And here and there as you need to. Let some of that dark remain. Not even really pulling on this one, just trying to get some color out there. That's what's so great about this style painting, is if you just let the knife do its thing here, it makes the effect for you. Now this tree here is kind of coming in front of it, so you do this one second, and I'll see how I just overlap it a little bit. Automatically looks like it's in front of the other one. There and here. I'm not too worried about the bottom, as we're going to be covering up the foots. Got to cover up the foots. And still just working with dark sienna and white. This one here looks a little darker. Just touching. If you happen to pull inward a little bit, that's fine. Little vertical touches and pulls. Now, I'm going to take, with a clean knife, I'm going to take a roll of that yellow-red mixture, and I'm just going to hit it in some of these spots here. Hopefully just see a little bit of it. Ooh, I done screwed that one up. Let's try this little tree here. Just in this middle section here. Couple little spots, maybe just a little bit of bright white here if I can clean this area up. Give it a little. Oof. Well, that turned out okay. Now, a little bit of paint thinner, not too much to melt into all that liquid clear. But I'm going to thin down my Van Dyke brown with my liner brush. I want to try to make some branches here. Just touch and kind of wiggle outwards. This is, it's good practice, gives you plenty of time to make as many or as few branches as you want here, but we're gonna be covering a lot of these up, so we don't have to worry too strong about making them all exact and perfect. We're purposely covering some up. I'm gonna have one kind of coming off over here. See a little wiggles and jiggles somewhere. But most importantly, I want to put some somewhere where a couple of them will show. Like right here on this tree in the foreground. I know that one of them's going to be seen there in the bright fading sun. So I try to make those look as good as I can. Let these kind of grow out. flow out of the brush. The rest of them, not too concerned with. Okay. Wipe out that brush. I'm going to have to really get some cleaner on that. This brush here I'm using is from an old master kit I cracked open not too long ago. I just love the different font on there. Like a very 80s font. Brush still works great. So, it looks like here with the same color here, maybe a touch more of the brown in it. Just some of this dark color. And we're going to make ourselves a whole series of little clumps. Not just hitting everywhere randomly, but creating clumps and putting those in random spots. I hope you understand the difference. Not just single randoms, but random clumps. There we go. And you can see that background tree I put in over the sun and sky. Doesn't matter, it's all just dark color off in there. So we got a little clump here and maybe another little clump there. That was the bravery test right there. I think we're good. So now I come back with, I'm gonna try to figure out just this kind of the same color here. The same color, lots of yellow in it, I think. Yellow, all my 3 yellows. There's a little bit of stain going on in there, and that's okay. So, I'm gonna tap some of this color, get out that right amount, right on the tips of the bristles. Let's see if we can get this to stick. We'll come back here and do these trees first. Okay. So far, so good. Right, and just like tapping the bottom to soften it down a little bit. Then you come back with the paint right on the tips and you put in a little overlapping one there. Maybe on this one I get just a little bit more of the cad yellow. It's a little bit closer. Gives it a different look. Figuring out one little clump at a time. Alright, I think that's those trees back there. Maybe one right here kind of gets a little darker, a little redder. There we go. Ooh, that one is just bugging me. Ugh. Now we got this one in the foreground here. It's going to be a bit brighter, I think, a bit bolder. I'm just adding a touch of the titanium white to it just to lighten it up. That liquid white shouldn't need the titanium white, but if you want to brighten things up a little bit, I'm using the liquid clear to thin, so I added titanium white to lighten. Okay, let's see how this goes. Moving on. Try to get that out there. Try to leave it alone. Get the highlights up in there. Let some of that shadow remain. Looking a little sparkly. I think we're just about set there. All right, so maybe I made this one a little too long. I'm gonna do a little trunkectomy there. That way, when I come back here with my grass color, yellows and greens, I can come in here and maybe just tap. Sometimes lately, I've been trying to challenge myself and how much on a black canvas here, how much highlight can I do with one brush full? One brush full. I've got a ton of paint in my brush here, okay, and I want it to get from bright to dark, so as I'm backing away, I'm already, it's kind of a dance here. It's already mixing in with the dark color, there's less and less paint, so I can play around and I can still strike and get a lot of bright color. So I'm kind of doing that, pushing a little harder and then blending backwards. Look at that, one brush full took care of this entire landmass. And it goes from bright to dark here. So I assess. Maybe I want this part to be just a little brighter. Gotta get that right amount of paint here. There we go. I changed the angle in my brush a little bit too, so it comes off a little bit spottier. If you keep hitting all down flat like this, you know, it kind of dulls and creates these weird things. But if you come in a little bit more straight on, it deposits the paint in a slightly different way, giving you all sorts of these little detail bits to your land. I like that. Maybe a little bit more right there up under the tree. And I think we've got it. Oh, we forgot the ones back here, didn't we? Gotta have a little bit of grass hanging out right under those trees. Ooh, there we go. And maybe a little water line. There we go. So, I told you before, I believe on, there was a couple of paintings ago where I talked about changing the season, changing the time of day. Well, here's another one like that. Change the winter scene into a summery scene, or even a little bit into the fall. What do you think? What season do you think it is? Definitely gets fall sense from those colors on those trees, but there are leaves still on the tree, so who knows. So that's what I did. I'll find out what episode this is, but there we go. Thursday of July of 2023. It's been sitting on my desk for that long. Man, I'm slacking. Really pulled this out of the archives there. So anyways, yikes. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and thanks for watching.